You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
It's special for many reasons. Chief among them is our guest tonight. We've got the OJ on board, Mr. Jesse Starcher from the Source Material Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am sporting the shirt with my very own name on it. You know, you don't go see the band and wear the band's t-shirt. Too bad. I am here to declare I am the OJ. Oh, guys, I'm glad to be back. It has been a while. We've been trying to figure out how long it's been. It's been a while. It was pre-pandemic. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure.
At least 14 years then, if that's what it feels like.
Yeah, dude. No kidding. No kidding.
So you do the Source Material Podcast, like we said. You said a book club about comics, but you do a ton of other stuff. So what?
I listen the hell. Oh, my new favorite thing, guys, is a little thing called syndicated source material.
Really now?
It doesn't come out fast enough for me.
Boy.
He cuts off all the gristle and the fat.
Right.
And he puts it. He didn't care what he was advertising back then. He doesn't care about if there was some conversation that was included that maybe went on, he might give you a little blurb about it, but at the beginning, and then just cut all that out. Give you all the meat.
That's right, man. Syndicated source material was born from the pandemic because I was so essential that the only time I really had to do anything with a podcast was Sundays. Who's recording on Sundays? Absolutely nobody on the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network. So I said to myself, I'm going to start taking some old episodes and just clean them up, put them out there. Boy, did they need cleaned up. I mean, this was before I was at least a little bit better at editing. And going in there and making it sound as tight as possible. Oh my gosh, man, back in the Blog Talk Radio days when we were recording via that monstrosity, I mean, people would be talking and then all of a sudden, like, they just completely drop out. And that's the way the show went. You sat there and you vamped the whole time and you didn't edit nothing. And it went live right after you were done. So it's good to have that library of old shows that I can grab now and shine up a little bit. So.
I have nightmares about people listening to our old episodes. Like, the sound quality in the beginning was so terrible and we had no idea what we were doing and no idea how to fix it. Yeah. And we just kept going. Right. Like, we never paused to like, hey, let's make sure this works. And we just no, it didn't matter.
But we did finally get it figured out and then immediately went to Zoom.
Yeah, it's like, well, a whole new thing to learn. Here we go.
That's exactly right. So Jesse has a new feed,
right,
for source material that you can find now on Apple or Google or wherever. But if you subscribe to just that feed, all we get is source material, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we branched. Well, it was a hard one. I had to run that one by Mark and be like, man, is it okay if I kind of go off on my own, have my own little feed? And the possibility has been there for a very long time. I've just got up the gumption to finally ask, like, can I do this? And he's like, oh yeah, man, go ahead. So now it's separate from a lot of the Rattleitch shows. If you subscribe to the Rattleitch shows, you're going to get a lot of shows. So if you
wide variety.
Yes, you get wrestling, movies, TV, music, metal, all that. But yeah, now it's just me alone. All you have to do is type in Source Material Comics Podcast in any podcatcher, and you should be able to find it, subscribe. And right now we only got 2 shows on there. Me going, hey guys, it's me. And then the other one is me talking about Global Comics Month and Captain Planet #1. So, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We got more stuff in the pipeline, more to come.
Well, you have been a good friend to us on our show since day one. So we're always thrilled to have you on. And we've been talking about this episode for a long time, and we knew you had to be involved with this one. So,
oh man, I'm excited. I
think this was Seth's brainchild well before we even had video capabilities. So, what was your idea, Seth?
I just wanted to see what everybody's favorite comic covers were. I knew I wanted to show some of my favorite comic covers. I knew I like to look up what people on the internet's favorite comic covers were. There's a billion articles about it. So I just want to know what you guys' were. And I thought this would be so cool to show everybody what cool comic covers there are out there. And I don't see enough people do stuff like this. So
we're
perfect for video.
Top 10. How about it?
We haven't done a top 10 the old fashioned way in a long time.
No vetoes, no arguing.
Yeah. That was my biggest fear when this was pitched. I'm like, if I get vetoed on something, I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know.
We might throw a secret veto in later. We'll see. So yes, we are going to show visually our top 10 favorite comic book covers of all time. So you don't always have to watch the videos of these that we put on YouTube, but this might be an episode you want to actually watch instead of just listen to. So we'll describe them as well. You can just listen to the audio, but definitely recommend watching this one. All right.
Sounds good. So we got our order all fixed up here. We did that before we started recording. So,
and we typically warn you in advance that this is not. We're not claiming to be all-time experts. These are not we're not art critics.
Definitely.
These are all personal choices. These are we're not saying the top 10 best comic covers. We're saying our favorite comic book covers. So these are, at least in my list, these things that meant something to me or have a personal connection or just a personal taste even. So
yeah, I would say
this is not a definitive list by any means.
I would say my list leans to when I saw these covers, I wanted to see what was going on in this book. Like, it sparked something in me. I just not only did I just enjoy staring at the cover and looking at every detail, but it made me want to know what the story was, so.
I actually have stats at the end of this. When we get to the end of it, I will, if you can't follow along and see how I lean, I'm going to break it down for you at the end and tell you exactly how I lean when it comes to these covers.
Well, what was your criteria? How did you narrow it down from a million comic book covers, Jesse?
Oh, man. Me personally, I definitely wanted something that meant that something went down in the issue that you had to find out what is going on. There were a couple instances where I was like, this is something that I wasn't reading back then, but because of reading it later and finding the cover, it all made sense. And the cover just definitely set it that much higher in regards to me enjoying the story. So, but there's a few covers in here that I was going to the 7-Eleven and saw it. And I was like, I've got to pull that. That's happening in this book. I've got to read it. So yeah, there's a lot of personal taste in here, but then there's also okay, this is the cover. This is the cover that's got to be in somebody else's list because it's that good. So yeah, that's what's breaking down the top 10 for me is personal opinion and personal attraction to the cover, and of course what I think everybody else would enjoy as well.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's got to be a million. You get historical significance,
right?
Yeah.
Importance to the story. Your favorite artist, your favorite series, what you had as a kid. There's no wrong way to pick a list.
Right.
So yeah, I was just curious how everyone else was leaning.
Yeah, I had everybody send me their list by issue number today, just so we knew if we had any duplicates on the list, we could not talk about a cover till we got to its highest placed on the list. That's how we've done other top 10 lists. And I will go ahead and announce that there was crossover. There was crossover. So
Okay.
I'll let you know when it happens.
I had a feeling.
I know Cliff did not approach this quite like we did. Like, I feel like Seth and I had hundreds we had to narrow down. Cliff, were you struggling to come up with 10, or were you?
Very much so.
Yeah.
No,
Very much so. Cliff doesn't like comic books or something.
No, I do, but I'm definitely the amateur in the room. I don't have the historical knowledge that you guys do, so I'm sure mine is gonna probably skew off a little bit, but just a simple fact that maybe I haven't read as much or whatever. I tend to stick to more DC stuff than I do Marvel stuff or other companies out there.
Cliff, just so everyone knows, Cliff didn't want to do it because of these insecurities about this. But we were like, somebody has to put some DC on this list. we got 3 Marvel guys coming in here.
Right,
I'm sure we dabble, but we needed somebody to represent. So we talked.
So yeah.
We better get going here.
I volunteered to start it off, so I'm just going to go ahead. We're just going to kind of go through these, and whatever happens.
We're going to do all our 10s. So first, we got Cliff's number 10.
Okay, let's share my screen. All right, everybody can see that.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
This is Justice League America, volume 1, number 34 from January 1990. Big surprise, I know, but immediately Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, we've got Fire in her bikini serving drinks, and this was the whole Kui Island when they decided to buy their own island resort and Club JLI and all that stuff. And then you can see in the background, we've got some character. We've got, the Manhunter and Batman holding back Max, and even a Big Sur there back there. So, but this is the type of stuff.
This is the most Cliff cover I have ever seen. I'm surprised you're not wearing a lei.
Right. Exactly. This is the type of stuff that I gravitate towards. So, just fun adventure stuff. Of course, I always love the JLI crew.
Right.
And this cracks me up because these 2 idiots still have their masks on, but you get that, from that era, the deep the expressions, that's what it was known for at that time. So, even go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've heard a lot of good stuff about JLI. I've never sat down and read any, but man, does it come really, really recommended.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a big, at the time, well, I'm sure we'll talk about more on some of my other picks, but spoilers. It was a big change of pace from that classic Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Justice League that everybody grew up with. So, that's pretty much it. That's my number 10 right there.
Superman's famous for his underwear, but they weren't as skimpy as what Booster's rocking.
Look at that right there. My gosh.
I kind of got it cut off there a little bit.
Thank God. Nobody needs to see anymore. So.
There'd be a Comics Code Authority stamp right there.
That's a good pick, man.
Indeed.
Adam Hughes. Adam Hughes
did the cover.
Yeah, that's a good looking cover.
All right, so now we'll do my number 10. So that's my number 10. Got so a guy in an electric chair. That's not the right guy. That's not it. Why is it not doing what I want it to do?
That's not your number 10?
No. Why would it be my number 10? That'd be too easy. Okay. No, I need I wanted a hero in the chair. Oh
wow.
No. That is not it. That's
Okay,
not it either.
I'm getting played for something here. What is
That's
going
not-
on?
That's not it either. It's I said a hero. No, it is an alien though.
This is a
It's
bit.
an
This is a
alien.
bit.
Let's just gonna come out and say it's Captain Marvel. No, not that one. Okay, I think I found it. Avengers 89. Sal Buscema, John's brother. I remember seeing this cover and just it blows my mind. Like I have a copy of it and it's just like so vibrant and there's so much going on. I just stare at it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on inside this comic, but
There is a lot going on there, man. I mean, when you pick that apart, you're trying to figure out why are they electrocuting this man?
Can they electrocute that man?
Exactly. Right. I don't know. I just think I've always thought this was a beautiful cover and it's got that 70s era art. Very,
yeah, it does.
It is an electric cover. And I've always loved it. It was higher on my, it almost got pushed off my list. But I was like, I refuse. I've always, for 2 or 3 years now, I've been like, this is going to be in my top 10. But you keep adding covers. I was like, no, I was adamant it was staying there. So Avengers 89.
Let's not gloss over. You've been making this list for over 2 years.
Right. I feel
the amount of effort I put into it is I have a file on my phone. I add a cover every once in a while and then just keep kicking them off the list. It was fun. All right. That was my number 10.
Very nice.
Nice build up, by the way.
Yeah. I'll try to get better at that. All right. Let's see. Jordan, what's your number 10?
Yeah, I had similar thoughts of like, I put together a list fairly quickly. And then it was like, well, this can't be all of them, right? I don't have any of the classic ones. I don't have the important ones, so I tried to add some more. I took some off and I basically just stuck with the ones I had from my gut, So I went with most of the stuff I started with. Kicking off with Detective Comics number 514. This might be the first comic book I ever owned. This is a cover date May 1982. So I was a wee lad. Got a copy of this somewhere. Don't know how or where it came from, but it's Batman in the snow. In the story, he wrecks the Batmobile out in the wilderness, and there's a hermit who has to take care of him. So it's guns pointed at Batman, and he has no sweat at this point. So to me, I'm thinking at this point in my life, I'd probably seen Adam West. I'm sure I've seen Super Friends, but this was something different. This was the real Batman, to me in my brain. And this probably until the 90s and the animated series, like this was my definitive Batman in the gray and the blue.
I love that costume.
Yeah. I remember you talking about this cover sometime in the last few years.
My copy of it is beat up beyond repair, but I took it with me to a con where Lynn Wein was, who wrote it, and had him sign it. And told him, oh, this is the first comic I ever wrote. And he was like, oh, I always loved this one. So it was one of his, he had a good memory of it too. So
That's awesome.
I was really happy with that.
I love it.
I assume the Batmobile lost a wheel and the Joker got away.
It did indeed.
All right. Okay.
All right. Get to kick off Jesse's list here with his number 10.
All right. Number 10. Here we go. Let me know if everything pops up there like it should. Are we seeing it?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Jim Lee coming in with the cover for Punisher War Journal number 6, guest starring Wolverine, meeting for the first time and maybe the last. Now, I mentioned 7-Eleven earlier. All right. This was on the shelf at a 7-Eleven, and I'm a big Punisher fan at this point. I'm also aware of Wolverine. I mean, Wolverine's like probably the hottest character at this point in time. This is 1989, February of 1989 when this hits the shelves. And I remember going, who's going to live who is anybody going to die? I mean, if the Punisher's definitely probably on the short end of making out of this, making out of the whole battle okay. And I wanted to see how this was going to shake down. I mean, with Wolverine and his claws popped, going through the Punisher shirt, with the skull right there, and it's Jim Lee in '89. I mean, I don't know if I'm paying attention to him at that point. I think, well, obviously he's on War Journal, and we know the name Jim Lee now. I mean, synonymous.
You've heard of it.
Yeah. Synonymous. Yeah, he is probably one of the best artists, and of course, in the '90s, things are going to get ramped up for this man. But yeah, this was. Whenever I think of like the early '90s, the late '80s, and me collecting Punisher comics, this is probably one of my favorites. And I threw this in at number 10. It almost kind of fell off because I was like, well, it's not as iconic, but it is definitely a favorite. So yeah, man. And this was, I remember trading, I think I traded a Daredevil issue maybe, or maybe it was an issue of ROM for the second part of this at school because I didn't have the second part. I bought this off the shelf and couldn't find issue 7. But yeah, that I ended up finally getting it. But yeah, man, Punisher War Journal number 6 coming in at number 10 for me.
Love it. I love it. That is, I mean, I know I've seen it, but I haven't, it's not like I see this one very often coming through my feed or anything. I follow a lot of comic cover Twitter things, but
you're right. Yeah. And
I love that.
It's funny how all your threes, I've never seen those covers that you guys put up here. I read comics. I do, I swear. And I'm like, I've never seen that. And that, that Batman cover looked really cool. So,
Yeah.
It's really cool that you see something like, I saw something like this and it has that nostalgic value now where I remember the day, going into the 7-Eleven, playing some, probably playing Street Fighter 2 on the arcade, grabbing a Slurpee and then looking for a video to rent. Oh, there's the comics on the shelf, so.
That's so funny you say that because there's more than one comic on my list that I remember the day I saw it for the first time,
Right.
That's what it's all about. All right.
Street level starch, waste no time getting the Punisher on the board.
Right in.
Just get to it. All right, Cliff, start us off for your number 9.
Okay. We'll get the handle on these controls eventually.
I'm not feeling confident.
There we go. Number 9.
Oh my goodness.
One of
nightmare fuel right here. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite just comic stories in general. I could get into some of when DC does a big event and it just encompasses, Marvel too, just the entire universe for a short period of time to tell a story. I love it. And when this Blackest Night came out in 2009 and hit, I remember going into Simon and just buying like all the crossovers, all the tie-ins, everything I could get my hands on for a while, just because I love this story. Blackest Night number 2 is what we're looking at. It's my number 9. It is Green Lantern. I always love Green Lantern when he's drawn with that kind of green silhouette, that glow coming out of him, and surrounded by all your dead Black Hand and their dead heroes out to get him. So I like this run. I think most people associate it with zombies, but they weren't really zombies. They were already dead, and when they were brought back to life, they were just evil versions of themselves. They had minds and spoke and communicated, stuff like that. But October 2009 covers Ivan Rice, and yeah, it's just one of my favorite runs. So I loved all the art and all the books. It was just, I could have picked probably 3 or 4 covers from Blackest Night alone that could have made my list at one point, but after I kind of looked, this is what I settled on. So
definitely a lot of for the many crossovers it had, a lot of them had really striking covers of that sort of like the clean cut hero and the horror going on around them.
Yeah, this was the big story where we got all the we had the Green Lanterns, but this is when we got all the other lanterns, the indigo and the orange, Larfleeze and the blue lanterns and the whole gamut, the whole rainbow came out of this, and even at the end with the white lanterns and
right.
that led off into another spin-off series for a while. So I just really enjoyed it. This was like Cooper and I were really into this. I think I've got some of the trades even in the back. I've got a bunch of single issues still, but yeah, I love the art on it.
Well, I will, and I don't know if I've said it on this podcast because I'm very, very rarely here, but I know I've said it plenty of times that Blackest Night legitimately gave me nightmares when I read it. I'm 2009. I'm like in my 30s, maybe. I'm like 31. I start reading it, and I don't know if it's Ivan Rice's artwork. I guarantee you that's probably what it was, because visually it did something to me to where it made me have nightmares. And it's a great story too. I don't read a whole lot of DC, you know that, but I started grabbing some Green Lantern trades from the library, and this was one that I found. And yeah, I mean, this is solid work right here.
I love it. It's awesome. Very ghostly, and it looked like it was a scary story. I remember reading some of it. I have a couple issues of it, but I can't remember much about it. But that's definitely an awesome cover. All right. Let's see if I can get this to work now. I'm going to do my number 9.
We can trust you that it's really your number 9.
Yeah, it's my number 9. I'm going to be very clear. This is my favorite guy, and he doesn't normally like to use guns, I'll say. So let's see. Here we go. Let's see. And that's not it.
Covered on the Source Material Comics podcast.
I just listened to that, but that's definitely not it. I mean, that's one of my favorite guys, but it's not that guy. It's this guy. Boom.
Oh,
my, Cap 321 got an Uzi out. He had to get an Uzi out. Mike Zeck gave me a gift that month. And I'm a huge Mike Zeck fan. Met him a couple of years ago, Heroes Con, and he's liable to show up on this list more than once. He just is just an incredible artist. And I love this cover, just the freaking smoke and shells flying and that face, and it's amazing.
This is something you don't see Cap sporting ever, really.
No.
I mean, and that's just what makes it that much more, striking, is that holy cow, Captain America has an Uzi. Is this in the middle of the Scourge storyline, or is this after or before?
It's right around there, yeah.
Okay.
We're about 10 away from him quitting.
Okay.
So this is a meaty part. It was all good stuff. Grunwald and Zeck and just clicking.
It's good stuff. Solid black. Go ahead.
I feel like Uzis were the weapon of the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Right, dude.
Right.
Definitely.
Nothing says 80s to me more than a Uzi.
Like, all my favorite stuff was coming in at once. I was like, I don't need snake eyes. I can just give Cap an Uzi.
I mean, how just think about the word itself. I mean, Uzi. I mean, that just sounds great. I want to be shooting an Uzi.
Oh, every time it didn't matter how many Uzis I had. When I went to the toy store or whatever, I was like, oh, there's another Uzi. You pull the triggers.
We probably could have done a top 10 Uzi covers.
Top 10 Uzis.
Oh, we could have.
Amazing.
Yeah, all been in the late 80s, early 90s.
Shoot, we should have done that. We could have been doing lists forever.
We probably, like straight up accidentally spoiled the next pick for Seth. He's like, this guy likes an Uzi. No, wait a second. This guy really likes an Uzi.
I love it. Okay. Now, Jordan, I regret to inform you that your
Yeah.
number 9 is higher on someone else's list.
This was the one I was worried about. I thought
Yeah.
it could be on up to 3 people's list.
Yeah, you sent your list to me earlier, and you're like, "There's only one that could possibly be on someone else's list." And I was like, "Oh, you're probably very right," and it is. It is. So we're gonna skip Jordan this round, and you will both get to go nuts about it later on. So Jesse, it's gonna be your number 9.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of Green Lantern, here we have Hal Jordan with a lot of Green Lantern rings on his fingers. Now, when you see a cover like this, all right, by the way, this is Daryl Banks, inked by Romeo Tangal. I mean, my notes were like, look at what this cover's saying. This, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is in the middle of when Hal Jordan is going crazy.
Yeah.
And he has eliminated, I can't remember if it's this issue. I remember reading this, but I can't remember if it's this issue or not, where he is snapping necks and, you know, taking Green Lantern rings, and it's not good. The Corps is getting devastated by Hal Jordan. And if you see something like this, you've got to know what's going on. He has all the rings. You look at all the rings on his fingers. Just look at him.
That's a lot of rings.
That is a big smile.
Yeah.
That is a scary. This is nightmare inducing. This face.
Yeah.
Like what?
Now, I'm sure at this point I had never read a Green Lantern comic in my life, barely read DC. But yeah, seeing this cover in a Wizard magazine or something and thinking, I got to know what's going on. Like, how do you not want to know what's going on with this comic?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's my number 9.
I love it. All right, Cliff, we're gonna do your number 8.
Okay. This might be the most far out choice on my list even, but this was one of those fold out covers. So I put the whole image, because I love the whole image. But this is Earth 2 Volume 1, number 11, June 2013. This was a book I was reading at the time, back in the New 52, that I really liked, and it wasn't super popular or anything like that. But this cover, the main cover, of course, Dr. Fate. I just loved the look of Dr. Fate. And as I was kind of putting this list together, I was kind of realizing, like, whether it's comics or animation or hopefully live action here in the near future with Black Adam, one of my favorite things that happens in the superhero world is when crap's getting deep or something is, happening, and all of a sudden Dr. Fate, you get that symbol, and it just, the light, and he just appears out of it, and is just one of my favorite absolute, even the video game, the sequence of it. I just love the look of him in various forms. So this one says, when fate calls, and then you would flip open that other half, and it says a miracle answers, and we've got Mr. Miracle there from Earth 2 right beside him, and it's just vibrant, and to me that is art on this cover.
Yeah, I am a fan of Brett Booth's. If I remember correctly, I think he was doing Backlash back when Image was around, and well, it's just when Image was around. Like, they went away. Did you know that? Back when, he was doing Image books.
Back when they were cool.
So yeah, I'm a big fan. And Norm Rapman is another Image guy that I recognize as well. So that's much props to the art there for sure.
Yeah, I remember that whole month was a gimmick. Every cover had that fold. It was like a tease and then a spoiler once you open the book and you got a little second thing. But I'm just now realizing Dr. Fate dresses like a catcher. He's got knee pads.
He does. He has to put those
a
on.
chest protector.
He has
and a face
terrible
mask.
knees, by the way. He was a kid fate. He was pre-med, and it just ruined his knees.
Yeah.
Growing up.
If only big league catchers wore long capes. That would be cool.
That's great.
That's my
pretty.
number 8. But
Nice.
I felt like on my list that was probably the most out of the blue one I probably had. I don't know.
Great. Okay, so now we got my number 8. Let's see here. Went with some more firearms here, guys.
Oh, nice.
This is my number 9 Uzi. No, this one I want somebody with a gun, and they've got somebody in their sights. Okay, so there we go. Oh, that's a great cover, but that's not it. No.
That's found the loophole to get 75
Yeah.
covers on the
Right.
list.
Yeah.
I had
We're
no
gonna be here
idea I
all
could have done
night.
this.
That's good, but yeah, no, they gotta have a weird eye. Somebody's gotta have a weird eye when they're
A
shooting
weird-
there.
Some
So you
weird-
know what? That's not it. We got a weird eye, and there's somebody in the sights there. That's right. But it's the other eye. We gotta get the other eye. Okay, you got the other eye here, but there's too many people in the scope. So let's try and narrow it down here a little bit. Okay, still the weird eye.
Okay.
That's not it though. This it's a superhero in the scope here. No, I said a hero. We still got the weird eye.
Not an alien. Not an alien in the scope. We can't do that.
No,
Okay.
well, like
If you're counting at home, we've got 1 Punisher reference from
Yeah.
Jesse and 2 slams against Superman from Seth. So let's see what's happening more.
Yeah, I wondered when somebody would catch the theme of my list. Yeah, we got now we need somebody from World War II type hero in the scope here. Oh no, that's not it.
Wow.
We don't. That's not the hero. Come on, the
Nice.
guy that fought him. I think I found it. I found it, guys. Boom.
Wow.
Captain America 286. The real theme of this list is Mike Zeck. Here we go again. The first time I ever saw Deathlock, I saw this cover and I'd only been collecting Cap for like 20 issues, and these covers just kept kicking me in the teeth. I was like, this is amazing. First off, I love covers that have anything wet going on. I realized as I'm collecting these covers, the effect of having something wet, some water involved or something, really brings a lot to it. So, just my taste, but
It's interesting how I almost was doing the same thing when I was put my 10 together. I started going like, what is this saying about me? And like, and so, yeah, I'm right there with you.
But I love this cover. I love the Cap in the sights, and Deathlock just looks awesome.
So for those listening, this is Captain America 286. Okay, and this is from the year October.
This would be like 84, 83, 84.
Okay.
Wow. Deathlock. How long had he been around? Do you remember when his? Oh my goodness.
I know hardly nothing about.
I want to
Deathlock.
say he hasn't been around too long at this point. I have to look it up, but anyway, Deathlock, cool looking character. I mean, he's a cyborg. I mean, what's hotter in the 80s than cyborgs? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uzis.
Cyborgs
Weird eyes.
with Uzis. And
Weird left eyes were big.
But yeah, he's a scary looking guy too. Like,
Mhm.
why is he going after Cap? Isn't he supposed to be a good dude? I mean, Deathlock, for crying out loud, he's supposed to be a good guy. But I remember more the, and I sure hope I'm not spoiling this on somebody's list, but I remember that Deathlock #1 from like the early 90s. It was like, kind of real silver. But it's the same Deathlock. So it's this guy looks cool. He's got a nice little nipple pump there. That's neat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the blue milk side.
That's you don't want a wet cover at that point. Then
You
you're going
don't
horribly wrong.
That's what the Frozen.
Oh
He's
no.
just he just had to put the plug back on and spray it all over the walls. Cap had pulled it off, and now he's dead meat.
Oh,
my.
oh man, he's
All
pumping for
right.
little mini Deathlock wherever
Yes.
mini Deathlock's at, you know. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we ruined that.
I like the cover. I thought it was great. And I'll never, I at some point, I'm going to find out when the first appearance at Deathlock was. I feel like it's in the late 70s, but we'll find out.
All right. So, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah.
You finally get to do something.
My number 8. This one is technically a variant cover, but don't hold that against me. It was a long time ago.
No, I actually thought I would end up with all variants, and I don't think I have any.
Mm.
This is
Ooh.
Peter Parker Spider-Man number 1. So this was late 1999. Actually, the cover says January 1999. So late 98, early 99. This is after Heroes Reborn, and they had brought, they brought the Avengers and the Fantastic Four back. They kind of relaunched all the main heroes. So the Spider-Man had never left continuity, but they kind of were restarting everything, the number 1 after the doldrums of the 90s and the big changes there. So this cover I have always adored. It's officially the Dynamic Forces variant version of it by John Romita Jr. John Romita has a history of Spider-Man, and to me, this is my favorite thing of his he's ever drawn of Spider-Man. Just he's up on the top of a building in the rain, kind of crouched over, and just looking mean, or maybe sad. Who knows? It's Peter Parker's probably both.
Yeah, I love it. I did see this one somewhere along the line looking at covers, and it's awesome. And I love the wet, the rain coming out. Yeah,
I'm only happy when it rains.
I will notice that right away. Every time I saw a cover with some water on it, it just brings something. They do that for a reason. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, really, again, not an artist here, but I've talked to a few, and you've got to try and pull off some stuff with this cover, with this type of scene, in order to make it pop. Number one, it's definitely a downpour, and the only reason you know that is because the rain is bouncing off of Spider-Man. Just look at the kind of like aura that he has because of that, and the artist has to take that into account, or at least come up with that idea when they're creating this, and it looks fantastic.
It adds so much texture to it, and just I love it. Great pick.
It's also that power and responsibility. He could go inside, but he has a responsibility to stay out in the rain.
If we could see under that mask, he is not
so much could be going on up there. Who knows? Nobody's gonna be making a web up there on his watch.
All right.
Oh, Jesse, you're number 8.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and we'll take a trip back to 1987, October of 1987, with the Incredible Hulk number 340.
Oh, yeah.
And the famous Todd McFarlane cover with Wolverine. It's a rematch, baby. It is on. I mean, like, if you can't, so far there's been a fight, and I think just about every single one of my covers here. There's been some violence that's about to happen, or has happened. But yeah, Wolverine is about ready to go one-on-one with the gray incarnation of the Hulk right now, and McFarlane on Hulk at this time is just unstoppable. I mean, just look at the adamantium rage staring you in the face, and the reflection of like the Hulk on his claws. Chef's kiss, just like that. That's what I'm saying. It's a beautiful, beautiful cover. I mean, it's simple too. It's just Wolverine like really upset, and he's going to go. Him and the Hulk are going at it in this.
You wouldn't like either of those guys when they're very upset.
No, you would. One of them especially.
Oh yeah, it's classic.
And has been parodied a million times. It's a classic when you can rip it up.
Yeah, if this was on my list, I'd have had all the versions.
Not that one. It's not that one. No, I want something that looks like this. No, it's not that one.
I love it. It's great.
All right.
All right, now we're up to number 7, Cliff.
Okay. Number 7. Alex Ross.
Ooh, really
Batman.
close. Yeah, came
Yeah.
close to making mine.
Yeah, Batman, the Harley Quinn one shot from October 1999. Just this, it's an image I think we've all become familiar with since, but that's been redone and parried. Even in the movie, I think Suicide Squad. They even had the image of it in the actual film.
Yep.
Of him in the tux, Jared Leto's Joker in the tux, and Harley in her classic costume in that pose and dancing around. And yeah, I know, Seth, you're not the biggest fan of Alex Ross, but
I'm not I just don't like his cap most of the time because he makes him look like the Tick.
Yeah.
I love his art.
I love that painted look and the realism of
absolutely.
it.
I love his art. It's just
against that classic black background. But even with the Joker, the tuxedo coat, you can't, blends right in with that background. So all you see is that white.
Yeah.
Jumping
that
out
makes
at
the
you.
white for sure pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the Harlequin outfit is awesome. Just like, it's a gorgeous cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
See,
So this one, I don't have much else to say about it other than I think it was probably on some lists. I looked at online and I was like, oh yeah, that's a pretty great cover right there.
I'm trying to think of what else of Alex Ross that really comes to mind for me. And this is always usually at the top. I have a couple other thoughts, but again, I don't want to give anything away. But there is you're going to have a hard time trying to find a better artist, or at least somebody that's got the chops like Alex Ross does. I mean, the guy is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it looks more like a portrait than you would normally see on a comic book cover. So
he got his start. He got his start, I think, with some issues of Terminator. The Now comics. I don't know if you remember the Now Terminator, but we covered one, maybe a small story arc on our show, and it was Alex Ross's debut. Definitely a different, he's honed his craft. We'll just put it that way.
Yep. All right. Let's see. My number 7. I'm going to get very specific so I don't mess this up. I've been having a hard time finding the right covers. So I'm going, this is, let's see, this is 1991 specifically. U.S. agent Johnny, and he's in the water fighting his blonde frenemy. Okay, that's not it. That's definitely that's not it.
That's the wrong Johnny.
That's the wrong U.S. agent Johnny. Yeah, the wrong blonde guy. I found it. I know where it is. Boom. Okay. Avengers West Coast 69. Nice. Hawkeye versus U.S. agent. Love this cover. The late Paul Ryan, I believe, drew it. But I found it very funny that this was 2 months before Point Break came out. So one of those random coincidences, but quinky dinks. But love the West Coast Avengers, and these are a couple of my favorite guys. Love the water. Love the nice moonlit sky. I just love everything about this cover.
Do you remember what happens in the story? Like how they end up on the beach and they decide to start fighting in the ocean?
I just got this Omni, but I So I'm excited to. I'm going to read the whole run because I now have this filled in. But no, I can't remember exactly what was going on.
I've heard again, Avengers West Coast is another one that I own a lot of, but I've never sat down and read. I don't know how. I think I ended up with a bunch of them through an auction, and plenty of people again say, "Man, you need to check out the series. It's really good."
Oh, I love it.
So
yeah, I can't remember. It's been so long since I read it back in the day, but I'm excited to do a full reread of Avengers West Coast. You guys like this cover at all?
that's good. I mean, it's you get what you get, man. You got U.S. Agent punching the crap out of Hawkeye here.
Yeah.
That is a full moon.
Yes, it is.
And you know it's the West Coast because there's palm trees. So
That's right.
That's right.
There it is. And not a lot of love is given to those corner boxes. We gotta at least give a little love to the corner box up there, with all the
I love those. I love they always get the roster up there in the corner.
Right.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Jordan, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is currently not on my computer. 1 second. There we go. It's from a book that has remained popular to this day, but fewer people think of it as a comic. It's more of a graphic novel nowadays, which is a shame because only getting the volumes of the graphic novel, you're losing a ton of amazing covers. So I'm talking about Jeff Smith's Bone, iconic series from the 90s, has been repackaged by Scholastic into a super popular series of graphic novels aimed at younger readers. They colorized it, shrunk it down into digest size, and have sold millions of copies through book fairs and schools and things. But it was a comic. It came out individual issues, and Jeff Smith is just a master cartoonist. And there's 50 some issues total, and the covers of all of them are great, but this was probably my favorite. And he always did that Calvin and Hobbes thing where the 3 bone cousins were very simplistically drawn, but he could draw landscapes and monsters and the humans in super detail. So it was just such a great contrast. And this one is Phone Bone and Thorn surrounded by rat creatures in the dark in the forest. And it has, I'm not sure if this is on purpose or not, but a comic I wrote has a pretty similar cover. But issue 1 of Bluff Creek looks surprisingly like this. So you can check that one out too.
Yeah, that is a spooky looking cover. I like it.
Yeah, those monsters, the big red bulbous eyes. And yeah, I remember first reading Bone because my daughter ended up with one of the books somehow, and I just cracked it open one day and I'm like, I was expecting very much because it's Scholastic. I thought it was going to be very child oriented, and I really enjoyed what I was reading. It was, the guy deserves a lot of respect for what he's done. But yeah, this would give you some nightmares. This scary stuff going on here.
Yeah, it's a great read. Like you said, it's kid friendly, but it's not just for kids. And it's not like maybe Harry Potter or something where the first few issues are kind of fun and silly, and then the longer it goes, it gets more complex. It gets a little darker, a little more serious. So it kind of ages with you as you read it. So high recommendation for both.
That girl on that cover looked like something out of Jim Henson Studios in like the early to mid 80s, when they were doing Dark Crystal and stuff. So.
Well, they've talked about a Bone movie or something for the longest time, but it's just never materialized.
I've never read it. Never read any of it. All right, Jesse, what's your number 7?
Ooh, number 7. Okay. Well, I my notes here are all in caps. So here we go.
Who's clashing in this one? Oh,
Avengers JLA number 4. I mean, we're going to talk about George Perez as we continue to go through these covers. I'll just go ahead and tell you that right now. And this is Superman with Cap's shield and Thor's hammer. I mean, it doesn't get any crazier looking than that. But I will tell you, just okay, as much chaos as it looks like is going on here. Why does Superman look like he's been through the ringer? Why does he have Cap's shield? Why does he have Mjolnir? Tell me. Is he worthy? He must be. He's holding it.
Not worthy to carry that shield.
And George is known for doing just a litany of characters on the page. This is one person, one alien, if you will, Seth, holding, two of the most iconic objects from the Marvel universe. But one thing that I loved about this is just a very minute detail, and I want to zoom in because technology is beautiful. This right here, the fact that his eyes are red, because he is about to let loose on something, and George just captures everything in this. Title of this story was The Brave ... and the Bold. And I mean, so much respect to this artist. And of course, we talked about, you guys just recently talked about the health issues that he's run into, and getting this trade back out there, right? This was the trade they're trying to get back out there, JLA and Avengers. He's just known for the intricate detail that he can do, the competent ability to put a bazillion characters on the page. And this one is just making a statement. It's stunning. So that's my number 7, Avengers JLA number 4.
Yeah, it definitely was in the rotation at one point for me, just because it's such a crazy cover and such the rare occurrence that it could even happen, right. So I've always loved Perez, and this is an incredible cover.
Comic book image right there.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't get much superhero.
One of my favorite effects, there's a indie artist I follow, that Kickley, that does this all the time, but he will create the absence of color, creates that effect. That all that lightning is just like real. He will create that, just not putting anything there, leaving the white page makes just this effect in contrast to the color around it. It always looks like this just blazing lightning, and it's just looks so good. Looks good.
We asked the question on the Facebook page, and for people to volunteer their favorites, and this was one of Evan Bevan's replies that it was one of his favorites as well. So thanks for chiming in on the socials, Evan.
Love it.
And put this book in print, Marvel and DC. Get your act together. There's no reason this book should be out of print for decades. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Should just be always in print.
It's okay. So it's not this one. It's the which one is it they're trying to do to get him that they did the order for? Tell me, Jordan.
That's one issue of that 4-issue series. They did come out with a very limited 7,000 copies.
Charity for the proceeds going to charity with a very limited run.
Got it.
They just can't quite get their acts together to keep it actually in print.
All right, so we're up to number 6 now. With Cliff's number 6, this was also Jordan's number 9.
Oh,
okay.
And it was dangerously close to my list. So I'm a big fan of this cover. It's just a classic, gorgeous cover. I can't wait to see it pop up here.
There it is.
Wow.
Yeah. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Volume 1, Number 1, June 1982. Herb Trimpe. This was an image that I've had in my brain since I was a little kid. This specific image right here, number one, it was plastered all over something. When I was a kid, I've told the story. I had a similar image. I had a inflatable toy tent when I was like 4 years old. That had a very similar image, but this was, that original team when they all wore army green uniforms except for Scarlet and Snake Eyes, and drove simple, well, not simple, but tanks and jeeps and motorcycles and used machine guns. So it was, it was when Snake Eyes was still a commando. But the first issue, this is what started it all before the cartoon. Our first introduction to the Joe team. So led by, I think it was Colonel Hawk at the time. And you had Breaker and Flash and Rock and Roll and Stalker. Stalker was the first figure I had ever when I was a little kid. So some of my favorite characters, and they do a good job in this issue. I was just rereading today of just kind of, they introduce kind of as it's happening. So there's personality, but not a lot of personality, like you feel left out that you have to know in the first few issues.
Yeah,
so.
It can get confusing very early on. Everybody's got their green outfit on, and it's just like you're looking for the bubble gum. Which guy's blowing a bubble? Oh yeah, I know that guy is.
Steeler's got the visor thing on, and Flash has got the.
Everybody had their own thing, So and so drove the vamp. Somebody else drove the Mobat. Right. Stalker always was using a jetpack. So it's just like that was the stuff that grabbed us as kids. It's like, this guy does this thing.
Right. Zap had a bazooka.
You can't use this thing, it's this guy. And just like, I loved that. We just ate it up with a spoon. I just loved.
And how crazy is it that Snake Eyes does not appear on this issue?
That's why it's not in my top 10.
Yeah, he's not.
No,
he very quickly became the focal point, the star.
Yeah. Right. It was, my goodness, at some point they changed the name of the comic to Snake Eyes.
Ninja Force.
Yeah. Right.
This was my number 9. Basically because it's the most iconic. There are hundreds of issues that I love the covers to, from this series, the special missions. Some of the modern books have really beautiful covers, but this, like Cliff said, this is the iconic. I'm sure it was on lunch boxes and TV trays and all kind of stuff.
Tent.
But so my number 10 was one of the first comics I owned, and that made my number 9. This was one of the first comics I didn't own. And I wanted it so badly. I had several issues in the single digits of G.I. Joe, and they were my favorites, but I didn't have the first one. And I had a neighbor who did, but he had like the oversized, like the Treasury edition. It was like one of the big size. And every time I saw that thing, man, I got so jealous. I wanted that so badly. So just for that the pull this had on my psyche as a child, and the desire to know what was inside that cover. Just, oh man.
Yeah, I remember even the original figure case had that image on it right there.
Oh wow.
That you carried your G.I. Joe figures around in. So great, just a cool look. I love the red as a contrast to that green they use.
That makes it. The red makes it. I agree.
Yeah. So
we love G.I. Joe. We like to talk about G.I. Joe all day. Love it. All right, let's see. This time going with somebody. We're gonna crucify somebody here.
Oh, I know what it is already.
You got it right. It's Cap on the
I knew it. That's there. Oh, okay.
That ain't it. No, come on. What the hell's the problem here? It's a letter of the alphabet. You ready? No, That's a T. Come on.
You've been reading that Xena Warrior Princess.
We're looking for an X here. Now, that's a great cover, but that ain't it.
By the way, Deathlock, first appearance 1974. I'm glad we can wrap that back
that
in.
Might be that. I think that is his first appearance.
But that is an awesome cover, by the way. But that's not the X I'm looking for. More of a, I don't know. It's just not. No, that's not it. I'm surprised to see how many of these.
I'm curious as to how many of these there are. Wow.
I think I narrowed it down here. I found it. It's Mark Silvestri.
Oh yeah.
Uncanny X-Men 251. Just iconic cover. Just Wolverine crucified on the X. The rain coming down. I got my top on here. Boom,
yes,
wearing it.
I was wondering if he's gonna wear the shirt. Man, I came so close to putting this on my list.
I'm surprised it's not on your list.
It is a great cover. Great cover. I bought this off the shelf, man. And I'll never forget what was happening in it either. I mean, I remember this whole story. Well, I remember I remember the story. The Reavers have got him, and they've shoved him up against this, and they just are slowly like torturing him just to see how well that healing factor can go. Yeah. And I believe Jubilee's like first appearance around in here somewhere, maybe not. She might be in the. I remember it's like the mall issue, but anyway, she's
44, something like that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, this is a great cover, and Mark Silvestri is probably the guy that I first started recognizing as being a great artist because I was reading X-Men at the time that it was coming out. I started, I think, with Inferno. That was where I started reading and investing in storylines. And so Mark Silvestri kind of brought me into, you're going to like comics, sir. And I really loved his work. But I'll stop gushing. It's your cover, sir.
No, I don't own it. It's the world is sharing this one. I love it though. This had to be in there.
Agreed.
All right, Jordan, what is your number 6?
Well, we've seen a lot of this guy here lately. Mine isn't as iconic of a cover, and I'm not even sure I can put into words why I love it so much. But mine's a Wolverine cover as well. Issue 65 during the beloved Larry Hama run on the series, drawn by Mark Teixeira, 1993. It's just a sad Wolverine.
It is.
He's not doing anything big and action packed. But I remember I had I'm sure it was a Wizard magazine poster book that they would publish that would have a whole bunch of posters in it. And I got an X-Men poster book. And there were probably 25 posters in there of, action scenes and fighting and cool poses. And this was one of the ones I put on my wall because there's just something about this image of he's in pain. He's despairing. He's at a distance from his right there. Who does he have a bigger connection with? Jean Grey, the woman he loves, Jubilee, the girl he's trained, Charles Xavier, his father figure, Scott Summers, his brother that he feuds with. So he's at a distance from the other X-Men. This is within a year or so after learning his origin and all the Silver Fox tragedy and learning his origin story, and it was just a heavy psychological toll going on there. And it's a Texas known for action and brutality and really in your face art, and this was just a quiet piece. And I don't know, it struck me as a kid, and it still strikes me to this day as Wolverine has something deeper to him than just the killing and the maiming and the fighting and the dying. So yeah,
it's so funny, Jordan, because a lot of the covers that I noticed first are not always the action-y covers. They're, it might just be a simple team lineup or something. There's always something to that, alternative to a big action fight scene on a cover. So Yeah, here we are. We've got Wolverine. He's got a headache. Somebody get him an aspirin.
Yeah.
All the blood's rushing to his bicep.
How long had the yellow costume been around by this time? It couldn't have been too long, because it was 90. It was in
90
Spider-Man, right?
93. This was
Got the 30th anniversary 92 down on the bottom corner there.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the yellow costume popped up, and I know it popped up in Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure the adjectiveless Spider-Man, I think. But anyway, so it had been around for a little bit. But regardless, yeah, Tex, man. I remember, when you look at Image Comics, those are the guys that I started really diving into that whole Image universe. Teixeira had Union. And that's where I remember most of his artwork from. But it's obviously he came from here. He came from Marvel and then went over and did the Image thing. And yeah, you're right. Everything that I remember Tex doing was just in your face, screaming and yelling. And this is not it. Wolverine is a defeated man.
Mm-hmm. I don't like the clean white background as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right. Starcher, what's your number 6?
Number 6. Well, we have to, I guess, get street level again.
Oh,
yeah.
snap.
Watch out now, ladies and gentlemen. Heading back to 1974, Gil Kane gives everyone their very first look at what will become one of Marvel's most famous anti-heroes. You got the white boots, you got the white gloves, Spidey in the crosshairs, and that skull on that costume. That is the first appearance of Punisher in Amazing Spider-Man number 129. So
good.
I don't know what else to say. It's obviously the first appearance of one of my most beloved anti-heroes. And when you're looking at this cover, it's stark yellow. Most of it is. You got the Punisher sitting there, and he could legitimately, you're worried. Is Spider-Man going to die? Is Amazing Spider-Man 129 the last issue? Surely not. It's just like, it's classic. You can't really get better than that. First appearance of Punisher, Amazing Spider-Man 129.
And it's a clever way to get both characters, full size in the image by having the scope be kind of in the background. And yeah, it's an interesting composition for sure.
He's different. He's deadly. He's the Punisher.
So good. That's just
I want it on my wall.
I think it's one of the best, definitely one of the best covers ever. Like, it's hard to just universally, like, yeah, it's stunning.
I like to hear it.
All right, then that marks the halfway point. How much good stuff is yet to come? All this good stuff we've seen, there's that much more still to come. So we're going to finish up with our tops 5 through 1. Jesse's coming back. We're coming back, and we will see you very soon. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
Seth.
Jesse Starcher.
Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, Join our Patreon at patreon.com/udamwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.